Good morning. It is January the 10th, Wednesday morning at approximately 11 o'clock, and I'm just down taking a quick look at the fish, and then I'm going to move on to show you what my plans are with respect to some additional filtration for this pond. As you can see, the water is crystal clear. Fish are doing great. Filters are working well, but I just wanted to try something different and add a little bit of additional filtration to the system. The barrels that I have over here, the most you've seen in earlier videos, I have a static media barrel on the end, on the far side over here. This one and this one are both moving bed filters, so my biological section. And then my shower tower that I have here is also some mechanical to a point, I guess, but mainly biological by nature of the shower. What I'm hoping to do is convert an old swimming pool sand filter that I had kicking around for a number of years. When my sons were quite young, we had an above-ground pool that I had installed, and as they grew older, the interest in the pool kind of dissipated. We didn't use it anymore, so it was taken down, and I actually ended up building my pond in the same site the pool had been years ago, so that was the house I was at previously to the one I'm in now. This is the filter that I'm speaking of. It's an old jacuzzi sand filter, and my plan is to convert it to allow me to put in some Kaldness media in there and use that as a additional mechanical filter. Now what I'm going to have to do, and I'm just going to pop the top off here. I have taken the bolts out just to save some time. So that's the top with the valve. That allows for, I'll just show you that here, filtering, backwashing, flushing, etc. And then that's kind of some of the innards of the filter itself. This piece down here is the part that holds the laterals that prevented the sand from getting into the pump itself. And bear with me a second, I'll just show you that. There's 8 of them in total, so this is one of them here. You can see it's a very fine screen on there. As I said, they screw into the bottom component of the valve here. They will screw into this section here, and I say there are 8 of them. And then the way the filter operated previously as a sand filter is the water would come in at the top and go down through the sand, which would be kind of sitting sort of where my hand is there, just under the basket. The water would then filter through the sand, go down to the laterals there, up the pipe here, and then go back into the pond. Now, because the sand is obviously much heavier than the Kaldness, sand stayed at the bottom. The Kaldness, as we all know, of course, is a floating media. So I'm going to have to make some conversions here in order to prevent the Kaldness from getting into the valve component itself, and I will show you that in just a moment. And then I'm also going to have to reverse the flow going through the filter and through the valve, so that the water, instead of coming from the top, will now come from the bottom. So the water will come from the pump down to the bottom of the pipe here, through the laterals, which will be screwed in there, flow freely up through the Kaldness media, and then into the valve. And you can see there, and that's some of the underside. So the water will be flowing up through these fittings here, and then coming out at the appropriate side, wherever that might be once I get things set up. In order to prevent the Kaldness from going into the valve, because again it's going to be a floating media, what I've done is I've taken a 6-inch pipe, cut a chunk off. I've also split the pipe to enable it to fit over the basket here, and it will have to be tightened to get it on there once I have it ready to put it in place. This will then be drilled with many holes in it to allow water to flow through, but will prevent the Kaldness from getting into the valve. If the Kaldness was to just be sort of free floating, and it's going to get into this section here, block the valve itself, get in there when the valve moves around for the backwash feature, etc. Which is why I have to put that fitting in there, and that will hopefully, fingers crossed, prevent any media from getting into the valve component itself. So that's kind of my plan. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to get the this collar, as I'm calling it here, I'm going to get that fitted over here so I know exactly how it's going to go. There's a bit of flexibility to it. As I said, I did cut some out in order to give me the space that I'm going to need. There'll be a gap of about that size once I have my pieces in there. I'm going to use I'm going to drill 3 holes in it using these very small zip ties. You can just see them a little better there. I think you're all familiar with those. That will then allow me to secure that onto the chamber here. Once I have the sizing in place, then I will drill all the holes in it that I'm going to need to make that work. Once that pipe is done, it will look very similar to this. This is a 3-inch pipe that I have been using in another filter previously. So I'm going to do a similar kind of layout of the holes into the 4-inch one. So that's the 3-inch there, way too small to put what I need on the valve. And you can kind of see the 2 of them here. So the 3-inch here, 4-inch there. So the idea again is to basically replicate the layout of holes here. On this one, there'll just be more of them because it's a bigger pipe. So I'm going to go ahead and get it fitted. Once I have it fitted to where I want it, I will show you that, and then once I'm happy with that, then I will start doing the work to get the holes drilled. And I'm not going to show you drilling all the holes. It's going to be a bit time consuming, but also be kind of boring for you, I'm sure. And you've all drilled holes, in most cases, doing filtration or what have you. The one thing I do have to be cautious of is, as I'm fitting this around the net or the basket here, is that this pipe, this one, my collar, will fit through the opening here on the top of the filter. Very, very limited space. I did try it already just to kind of make sure that once it's kind of fitted on there, it will go in. As I said, it's going to be very tight to get it in there. So I'm going to get it to the size I need. Once I've done that, I'll drill all the holes in it. Once I'm satisfied that that's going to work that way, then this will be fastened directly to the basket to hold it in place so that it doesn't slide anywhere around. And as I said, with sufficient holes in here, again, it's kind of on a similar pattern to this, there will be ample water flow going through here, through the basket and up into the valve, while at the same time keeping the Kaldness out of there. So I'm going to put the camera down now, get to work on the fitting and drilling the holes. Once I have that done, I will bring you an update to the video. Alright, I have fitted the collar that I mentioned a few moments ago in the video to the basket. Now you will see, yes, there is definitely a bit of a gap there. That was needed to fit it over the basket itself. I have tried a piece of Kaldness, and yes, it will fit depending on the angle it hits in here a little bit, but I'm not concerned about that because you can see there, just inside all the way around the basket, that the upper edge of the collar is tight against the basket top, meaning nothing from a Kaldness standpoint will be able to bypass that. This little space around here as well, the Kaldness is too large to fit through that gap. If I was using the K1 Micro, I would have concerns, but K1 is not going to be an issue. So my next chore is to, we'll take this off of here, is to drill all the holes in there that I had mentioned. And once those are all in place, I will slide the collar back on here, and then using a couple of those holes, we'll secure it into the basket, and that will then hold it so that it's not going to move. I mean, it's not likely going to move now. It is very, very tight as it is. I may even just secure it in here with one of these the zip ties just to the kind of center portion of the basket to hold it there, because this is a solid pipe up the middle. I'm not going to be able to reach anything inside there. And then this is going to be a snug fit, as I said. It's going to take a little bit of effort to get it in there, but it will go. As you can see, I'm not going to push it all the way down at the moment, but it will definitely fit inside the filter opening itself. So before I attempt anything like that, I definitely have to get all the holes drilled, get it secured in place, and then we'll work on the next phase of that, which is going to be taking the laterals here that I mentioned. And what's going to happen with these is, because of the very thin openings in this, it did prevent the sand from getting through into the filter and then into the pump and into the pool itself. I'm going to have to drill holes in here as well, or knock out some of these ridges, so that when the water is passing through, if there's any fish waste or anything like that, it's not going to get clogged in the pipe and just block everything up, because that's exactly what would happen. So if I do put some openings in there as well, that will allow the water to pass through, and from there it's going to come up from the bottom of the filter here. It'll come up to the valve at the top and go back into the pond. And so my next step, as I said, I'm going to be taking this out now, just to get the holes all drilled. Once I have those done, I will show you how that's going to work. As you can see, I have finished drilling all the holes into the collar that I had showed previously in the video, and there's ample holes here, just a random pattern. I didn't line them up or anything like that. And again, this will fit over the basket on the bottom of the valve there, allowing the water to flow through into the valve to operate the filter properly. At least that's kind of my plan. And the holes themselves are fine. This is a piece of the K+ media that I have here. You can see that, if I get a little closer there, that it is just slightly larger than the holes themselves, so it's not going to get stuck in the holes and prevent, any water movement through there. And as I mentioned a little bit ago in the video, when this collar is in place around the basket, because the edging is so tight, any Kaldness that does get, in there near the basket, or any that gets into this little area here where the split is, it's not going to go anywhere, because the basket's going to prevent it from proceeding farther. So I'm going to get the basket out of the filter there, secure this collar onto it, and then I will let you see that once that component is done. Well, looking at the valve prior to assembling the collar onto the basket, and by that collar I mean this piece here that I had shown you previously, I did notice a couple of things on the valve body itself. So I've taken that apart, because I'm going to have to do a bit of a modification on it. This opening here, as you can see, this would have been a return line, so the water would come in from the pump through the sand and then be returned via this port to the swimming pool. The one on this side, as you can see, is significantly smaller, and you can see there it says waste. So this would be the line that would go to the waste when you're backwashing the filter, to get any debris and so on out of it. And I'm not sure why this is such a significant difference in size. I'm assuming maybe to help push the waste out or something. I'm really not sure. So what I am going to do is I'm going to drill that component out to make the opening larger, just to minimize any likely kind of head pressure or anything on the pump. So I do have a hole saw here. I'll just show you on the end of my drill. So this will fit very nicely into that opening on the valve itself. So it's going to fit right in there. It'll take that piece out and just a slight area around it, and hopefully that will make a difference when things are in operation. That's kind of the inside of the valve body itself, and then this is the kind of innards of the top that would sort of redirects the water depending on where you have turned the valve. So what I'm going to do now is, like I said, I'll drill out that portion that I just showed you a moment ago, and once that is done, I will let you see what that looks like. And there's one other thing that I do have to do before I can get things up and running on this, is all of these types of filters have a drain port at the bottom here, and this is, you can just see it there, which goes right into the bottom of the filter. The purpose of that, when this is operating as a sand filter, is in the winter you don't want any water left in there, and in most cases people with swimming pools don't disassemble the filters or anything, take them indoors, they just drain them and winterize them. Now I have misplaced the drain plug. I have no idea where that's gone, so I'm going to seal up that hole both inside and outside to prevent any water from coming out. And the reason, obviously, beyond kind of doing that, is with this being strictly the Kaldness that's going to be in there, if I do want to do anything to the filter itself, and because it's going to be indoors, I don't really need the drain plug. What I can simply do is disconnect the valve here off the top of the filter. You can see where the holes are for the bolts to go in. It'd be a simple matter of taking that off, putting in a vacuum, like a wet vac, drawing the moisture out of it or drawing the water out of it, and that would enable me to kind of work on the filter. So I really don't need that valve down there. In my travels around the basement here, if I do happen to find a drain valve, I can always, or the drain plug I should say, I can always put that in there. But for now, just because I wanted to get this in operation reasonably soon, so I'm going to work at, as I said, I will plug that up, and then that will solve hopefully that side of things. And then I just have to figure out what I'm doing with the laterals that I had shown you previously. I'll just grab one here for a moment. So with this, just to make sure that when it's in place, you know, the fish waste and everything is going to be coming through the filter, is not going to get stuck inside here causing issues. So I'm going to put the camera down now. I'll drill that hole, and then I'll show you once that is done. And I will be back with you shortly with another segment of the video. Alright, I have drilled out that piece that I showed you a moment ago that was in here. Remember, if you see the waste part where the restriction was, I'll just show you that now. So this is that's the piece that came out. And again, I'm not sure why that was sized like that as far as the sand filter was made. Obviously there's a reason behind that. Again, this pump that's going to be running this is much, much smaller than the one that would have been on as a sand filter. It was a heavy-duty swimming pool pump that was running the filter initially, and this of course is just going to be a pump that's running my moving bed filters and static filter, etc. on the indoor pond, so I'm not going to have nearly the pressure or anything like that to run it. So that's the part. So that's now opened up. These are the hose pieces, hose bibs, whatever you wish to call them. That'll be screwed in, one on this side, one on the other side. So I'm going to, I'll get those done with some plumber's tape, get those back in place, get the valve back together, get the collar attached, and then I'm going to get the some sealant into the filter bottom there that I mentioned, down into the drain hole here, to make sure that that is sealed up. So you can just see it there, to make sure that that is sealed. And then I'm going to work on those laterals and try and figure out the best way to take care of those. So again, I would just continue putting things together here, and I will get back to you with the next component shortly. But fish waste or anything would have gotten through there. So I'm putting the holes just kind of randomly. Each one, as I said, there's 8 of those. Got some of them that are done here, as you can see. Some more to be done. Once that's all done, I will be ready to start assembling the filter with the media in it. Hopefully get it hooked up and on its way soon. I will be back with an update once I... Alright, I'm continuing to work on my filter modifications, and as you can see, I have attached the now drilled out laterals to the fitting at the bottom of the pipe. Just give you an idea how that looks here. And so this unit will go into the filter canister, or the filter body. It's going to go into here. These will be at the bottom of the filter at approximately this point. And then the valve, which is here, will go on top of there. And that then gets bolted up here into the chamber to hold everything together. Now the process for the water coming in here, if I have done my research correctly, will be that the water is going to come in. It will flow down through the pipe here, through these laterals, and then it's going to flow back up through the Kaldness, which is going to be sitting in this area, and then it will exit through the holes in my collar here, and then through a fitting to the pipe that's going to go up to my shower tower. That's kind of the sort of presumption that I'm making based on, as I said, what I've done research-wise. And what actually is going to happen, originally when this was on the swimming pool, this fitting here was actually where the pump was connected, so the water came in here, and then it went out one of these fittings to go back to the pond. So what I'm going to do, instead of having the water come in here, it's going to now be coming in to a fitting like this. It will then go down, as I said, through the pipes and everything, come up to the valve again, and it's going to exit at this point. So the flow is actually being reversed to what the filter would normally be functioning should it be on a pond with a sand filter, sorry, on a swimming pool with a sand filter. So it's pretty much ready to go. You can see the valve on top here, the pressure filter or the pressure valve, kind of stuck in place, very rusty after many years of use. I'm hoping to, find a replacement for that one and get that in place, just to kind of give me an idea as what pressure might be building up in there as the media gets clogged. So I'm going to be looking for one of those, but that's not a particularly important thing at this point. I'm just going to take this valve off, so bear with me for a second. I just want to show you something else here. Yeah, apologies for that. So the laterals that you see here, as I mentioned, will be going into the filter unit. Now, as you can see, as I put them up on top of the filter, they are definitely larger than the opening to the filter itself. So what I have to do is unscrew all 8 of these, put this unit that holds them into the filter, then reach inside and reattach all of them. Then the pipe that's here, this pipe, will sit on the bottom of the filter, and then the valve will go on top of that. That's the piece there you can see that fits on top of this pipe, and then like I say, it'll get bolted up here. So I'm going to start taking that apart and get them together and back into the filter. Once that is done, and before I put the Kaldness in, I will attempt to get a little shot from inside the filter unit there, just showing you how they're positioned inside there. So I'm going to do that now, and that should only take a few moments, and I will give you a quick view at that very shortly. The laterals are now in place. You can just see them down the bottom of the filter there, and I apologize for the lighting. I'm just using a flashlight to illuminate inside the filter canister here, just so you can see what they look like when they are in place. The next thing that's going to happen is the Kaldness will be put in the filter, so it's going to go down on top of these laterals. Once that's done, the valve goes on top, and then I will bolt that into place. So I'm going to get the Kaldness in there now. The laterals, I say, they're where they belong. I'll get the Kaldness put in. Once that's in, I will let you see that, and then I'll get the valve put on and bolted in place, and then let you see that. The next step after that will be getting it fitted into the shower feed line. Alright, the laterals are in place as I had showed you a few moments ago in the video, and I have now the media inside the filter canister here. It's a mixture of both K1 and K3, because I had some of that put aside as a spare should I need it for another filter or anything like that. So that's in there now. So the next step is to put the valve cover, or the valve itself, on the filter, and then secure that with the bolts. I've put you can see just there, this is the O-ring that goes around to seal the valve in place. So I'm going to put that on now. I'll get that all bolted up, and then I'll show you once I have it ready to go. I have reassembled the filter. The valve is now secure in place. The bolts here have been done up all the way around. The fittings are now this one, the one on the other side, and this are all in place ready to go. And what I will be doing is getting the filter in place and all the plumbing hooked up. So I'm going to tackle that in the next little bit, and I will bring all that to you in an upcoming video. So thank you again for kind of hanging in there with me now and watching my experiment with this filter. I appreciate your support as always. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like and subscribe button. And the installation and functionality of this will be featured in the next video. Thank you all. Take care.